I got 6 little bullet points here as I was trying to flesh out some thoughts, and you and I can kick them back and forth here. First one that really stood out to me is talking to people this week around the league with the Cowboys, everybody else. Cowboys know the offensive line is a problem. Like that is, to me, the biggest takeaway I get is when they look at like, okay, where are we at? Where are we deficient? What do we need to get fixed? I think that's top of mind right now is we got to fix the offensive line. This wasn't acceptable last year.
No, I agree. I mean, you look at, especially, I know Tyler Biadasz got a little bit better as the season went on, but that left guard center combination between Connor Williams, McGovern, Biadasz, that to me was a real problem for a majority of this season. So you have got to find a way to get tougher. And we were talking about even during the break, what happened to Tyron Smith in the San Francisco 49ers in the playoff game. My man got whooped repeatedly in that game. And that was not even with, Bosa, he
Charles Omenihu, which hook 'em horns, but still, like, Charles is not supposed to be able to bully Tyron Smith.
Like, it looked like some Reggie White type stuff, like that's how bad it was looking for Tyron Smith. Because I know about you, but I had never seen him play as poorly in a game of significance in that way that Tyron Smith played in that playoff game.
Forget game of significance. I had somebody with the team tell me a couple weeks back, they said that is the worst football game we've ever seen Tyron Smith play. As a rookie, anything else, that's the worst he's ever played.
Okay.
And so, look, I think they still know he's a very good left tackle. I think, as we've discussed, I think they know he's not an elite left tackle anymore. Sure. They know his best days are behind him. I think for the improvements, the steady improvements Biadasz made, I think they know there's still some areas where he's deficient, and I don't know if they feel like it's necessarily all going to be fixed just with hard work. And he is a hard worker, and he makes his improvement. But I think there's some aspects of his game that they're falling short on, that they're like, we don't know that that's going to come around.
Are there concerns about maybe his physical limitations? Because he's not necessarily a big physical type center in that way. Are there some physical limitation concerns with him?
No, I think honestly it's more being the quarterback of a line. Yeah. And some of those, like Travis Frederick was elite at that. Like, calling protections and identifying things and kind of being the leader.
Smart player, yeah.
And not that Biadasz is not a smart player, but like it's just, I think there's some areas there where they still feel like he's got to come around on.
Okay.
They're going to need a new left guard. I think they've got their right tackle of the future in Terrence Steele. And so I think the future of Lyle Collins is a little in doubt.
Like how you didn't say Lyle Collins.
Well, I think the future of Lyle Collins is a little in doubt. So there's a lot of spots on this line that they could honestly address, and I think they'd feel okay about it. I think they could pick a center guard or tackle in the first round and feel like they addressed something they needed to address.
Yeah.
And so I think everything on the offensive line is on the table, but that was a big takeaway to me, was just the offensive line was an issue, and we know it's got to be better.
Okay.
Number 2, part of the Amari Cooper decision, I think, is, and I've discussed some of this, but part of the Amari Cooper decision is about the team's belief that he is not the same player they signed in the offseason of 2020. Or even the guy that they traded for and the guy that played in 2018 and 2019. Not that he's not a very good receiver. They paid for elite. He's been very good, so that's a disappointment in a ways to them. I would still bring him back. I still think he should be here, but I think they feel like there's a half a step to a step that he's lost, and that he's not quite the same guy. And I think part of the decision here is about trying to get ahead of a decline, the way the Patriots have notoriously done for years. They will walk away from a guy a year early rather than a year late,
and won't mind walking away from a guy multiple times. They just cut Kyle Van Noy again today.
And so I think part of this factor here, in addition to they don't feel like he's totally lived up to the money. They know there were other factors at play and things like that. There's obviously the whole vaccine issue that frustrated them, that caused them to miss games. There's the fact that he gets banged up. But I think some of this at play is this isn't going to get better. Like this wasn't just a down year. We think this might be the beginning of a decline.
I find that really hard to believe because he's 27.
A lot of tread on those tires, though. We're talking about 7 years in the league now. He got in it very young.
And this is still a guy, though, that finds very good ways to get open. He's still, I think, one of the more precision route runners in the National Football League. I think this is more about a vote of confidence for Kellen Moore's scheme versus how they utilized Amari Cooper, because there were plenty of times where Amari Cooper was able to get himself wide open on plenty of occasions. Yeah. And either it was schematically something wrong, they didn't want to get the ball to him, or Dak Prescott not being able to recognize how open at times Amari Cooper was in plenty of opportunities that he had to get the football to him.
I mean, remember, though, like, he was the salvation to the Scott Linehan offense in 18, where it was like there was nothing at all schemed up. It was all stop routes and just, go to – and so he was the answer to that. And so I think that that's their thinking, is that, like, that same guy in 18 who rose above any potential scheme limitations or anything else, like, they don't know that he could do that anymore.
And they don't even want to get the chance to find out.
I think they feel like they have found out is the thing. I think they feel like I think they feel like they have their answer is the thing. And I think a lot of people disagree with that, and I would disagree with that.
Same.
But I think that just talking to some people, that seems like a big factor here.
I'm terrified of him going to Kansas City, not gonna lie to you.
Another guy, number 3, DeMarcus Lawrence is absolutely confident in his market outside of Dallas. And I think that, with the news, we talked about this. There was the expectation. We talked about it all leading up to Indy. Cowboys were going to meet with them, ask them for a pay cut. Lawrence was likely to reject it. That's what's happened.
Sure.
Cowboys asked for a pay cut. Lawrence rejected it. Now we're sitting here going, okay, it's a game of chicken. Did you really mean it? And are you going to cut him? Or are you going to, fall back a little bit and go, okay, we thought he'd take the pay cut. Guess he won't. We're going to restructure, whatever. Part of the reason why they're so confident, I think, in refusing the pay cut is there's a lot of confidence in that camp that there are other teams out there that would like to have a crack at DeMarcus Lawrence on their team. And I think that they feel like there would be, we were talking during the break, I don't think it's a Jadeveon Clowney thing. I think they believe there's a market for DeMarcus Lawrence instantly, and that he wouldn't necessarily be on the street very long. Remember DeMarcus Ware was on the street a week, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't even think it was that long. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like it was pretty quick. He went to Denver. And so I think you might be looking at a similar thing, that he gets scooped up pretty quick.
Well, Lawrence wasn't obviously the same caliber of player DeMarcus Ware. This is the exact same situation that's playing out with him. DeMarcus Ware was asked to take a pay cut. He told him, you can kick rocks. They said, okay, well, I guess we'll have to cut you. And then he goes to Denver and goes and wins a Super Bowl.
Makes Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
Wins the Super Bowl.
Still in a very effective football player. I feel like the same thing is about to happen with DeMarcus Lawrence. He called their bluff. He's not taking a pay cut. They're going to cut him. He's going to walk. So
yeah, and then he's confident that he can go
on a good team that's going to pay him, and I think he'll still be a productive player.
Couple quick things to touch on just from the text line, since I know you guys are reacting to some of this, and I really want to try and get to y'all as much as we can tonight. 817, move Collins to guard. I don't think they believe, and I heard Broadus talking about this, I think they think that maybe he's not quite as bendy a player as he used to be, Collins, just with the injuries and everything else over the years.
Do you know if he even wants to play guard at this point in his career?
Probably not. A lot of guys don't like making the tackle to guard move because of the implications.
We know
of getting
Zach Martin wasn't feeling that at all.
Well, he was not feeling the reverse.
Yeah, he's in the reverse.
But a lot of times tackle guys are used to, like, guards don't get paid the same as tackles. So if guys are looking for another contract or looking to extend their careers, they don't necessarily want to move to guard and impact their pay. So potentially he doesn't do that, but I also don't think the Cowboys think that, like, that's a great fit for him right now. 817, Cooper is one of the smoothest route runners in the league with what comes off as zero heart. This dude has zero personality and shows zero passion. Look, I think there is I don't totally agree with that. I think he loves the game of football.
Yeah.
I think there is a little bit of, like, they'd like how, like, most of the league is trying to tamper down their diva wide receivers. Like, dude, throttle it back a little bit. I do think the Cowboys wished for, not just from Amari. I think the Cowboys are wishing for a little bit more juice from their receivers.
Dez ain't walking through that door.
It doesn't even have to be Dez. But I think they want a little bit. I think they want some alpha personality in there, which I don't. Maybe CD's the closest, but CD's still pretty.
He's a mild-mannered dude too.
CD's pretty mild-mannered. Gallup is totally.
Yeah.
Cooper, like, I think there's just a little bit of, like, hey, come on, like, it'd be nice to have some juice here. Number 4. Cowboys are not concerned about Kyler Gordon and Traylin Burks' testing. Kyler Gordon is the cornerback from Washington. Traylin Burks, the receiver from Arkansas. Both of them were expected to test like freaks. Gordon, I know the talk was, man, this guy could run 4.3, could jump 40 inches. Like, there were scouts who felt like that across the league. Kyler Gordon went out there, ran a 4.57 and then a 4.61 and didn't do any of the other drills. And Traylin Burks was a guy who some people thought could be like a DK Metcalf type of, like, big dude who could run really fast, hit the 4.3s. He ran a 4.55, and a lot of his testing wasn't nearly what they thought. They were expecting upwards of near a 40-inch vertical. He actually did, I think, a 33. So Burks wasn't nearly the same. And so my sense is the Cowboys aren't concerned about that.
Okay.
They trust the players that they've seen on film, and they trust the players that they've done the homework and the background work on. And I think that they feel like the testing isn't enough to override their belief in those players and who they are.
If either one of those players are at 24, and let's say, Linderbaum or Green, Penning, Trevor, or if any of those guys are gone, do they feel comfortable taking either one of those guys at 24?
If both of them were there, I think Burks would absolutely be a guy that even if they had a lot of players on the board they liked, I think Burks could absolutely be in play for them. Like, he's a stud. And especially if they're going to move on from Cooper, Burks, Lamb, Gallup, that would be exciting. Burks, we're talking about a guy who against like SEC opponents last year, like Mississippi, ranked guys, Mississippi, Alabama, stuff like that. Alabama, he put up like 7 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was roasting Alabama.
Yeah.
And so, really good player. 0.5, another similar thing, not as much about the athletic testing, more about measurements. Cowboys are not worried about Iowa center Tyler Linderbaum's size, guy who's probably going to play center around 290, or Trent McDuffie, the other Washington corner, about his length. Trent McDuffie came in with arms that were under 30 inches. He's about 5'10 and a half, which in the past you would think absolutely no chance they go there. I think they feel like...
Because Dan Quinn loves his length.
Right. I think they feel like he plays long. Like even though the measurements aren't there, we see he knows how to use that length in a way that is acceptable to us. So similarly, I think they're trusting the straights. In terms of Linderbaum, I just don't think size is as big of a problem for them at center, regardless of who it is. Like, I think they believe Linderbaum's the cleanest technician in the draft, almost across any position. I think that's something they believe. And I think they also feel like, look, when you're a center and you're bracketed by big, strong guards who are there to help you double team and stuff like that, the play strength isn't nearly as big of a concern for us.
Sure.
We'll take especially when we talked about Biotish, maybe some concerns about, is he advanced enough in some of those things? I think the IQ of Linderbaum is a big boost to them, and he's so clean as a technician. So anybody who's wondering if Linderbaum or McDuffie hit their metrics, what they want, I think that they believe in them. And then number 6 here, as we wrap up, big thing along the lines, probably the second biggest or tied for the biggest energy I felt from people talking to him this week, along with the Cowboys knowing the offensive line's problem. Number 6, they know they got to get tougher. Like they know they need not just physical football players, but like they know the physicality was an issue last year. We talked about it so much leading up to San Francisco.
The Denver game.
Then San Francisco came in, did exactly what we were all worried about.
Yep.
Out-physicaled them, punched them in the mouth. I think they know that's an issue, but I think it extends even further than that. Like, we don't just want physical football players. We want dogs. Like, we want some guys with a little bit of edge.
There's a mental aspect to this. Yeah,
I think they want some edge. I think they want some. I think they want nasty in a lot of areas of the field, and I think they want somebody to come in and bring the juice, like we've talked about. So I think that's a big thing for them. They want really tough, physical, mean football players. Like I think those are attributes they'll like to see outside of just the types of players they are on the field.